If you're looking for a Valentine's Day card, look no further. We've got what you need right here in front of me, and we're gonna add a nice little personal touch to it as well. So let's take a look at what I have here. And I've kind of already started to lay things out just so that I know what I'm doing. But here's the card base. What you wanna do is just fold that in half, okay? And first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece here and we're gonna glue this right to the front, making sure that we match it up with the little heart that's cut out of the center there. So let's get that going first and foremost. And we want to make sure that we get our glue all the way out to the very edges here. And then a little bit on the inside as well, obviously. Okay, so grab the piece like this and kind of use your fingers here to kind of feel for that very edge and get that nice and aligned with the existing heart there. Make sure it's nice and flush all the way up and down here. There we go. And just press that down. As long as you get that heart nice and centered and aligned, and you know you've got it in the right spot. Okay, so there is step one there. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So let's get our glue onto this piece here. Again, make sure you work that perimeter. You don't want that pulling off. And you give your card to that special person in your life. Okay, so again, I'm going to hold it like this and get that nice and lined up with the cutout. Work that edge there, make sure it's nice and flush, and then press that down. And you can see how nicely that meets in the center there. Okay, and next thing we're going to do, we've got this beautiful little overlay. It's going to go on top here on both sides. Okay, when we put this down here, we want to make sure that we keep the border nice and even here on the inside. And we'll put this down completely first, and then when we get the other side, we'll make sure that that all lines up nicely. So go ahead and get your glue onto this piece here and work as many areas as you can. Don't worry about getting glue on every single inch of this. It's not necessary. It will still hold nicely for you, but definitely get it down to the very ends and the very edges. That's probably the most important thing. Okay, so again, kind of hold it in whatever way is comfortable for you, and just make sure that when you place it, you got a nice even border all the way around, and that this edge here meets the edge of the card as well. And then just go ahead and pop that down. And that looks perfect, with the exception of this little area here, and I just kind of nudge that into place. So that looks great. Okay, and now when we put this other piece down, we just want to make sure that, you know what, I've got a little area here that didn't completely stick for me, so I'm just going to throw a little bit of glue on the tip of this piece of paper and just paint some glue under that little area there and press that down. Okay, so let's get our glue on the other half here. And don't overdo it on the glue. We don't want it smudging out. This is a very pretty card. And you know, if you're selling these cards, what you can do is you can include the little template for people to cut their photo out. It may be a little bit difficult to get in there after it's partially assembled, but you can still do it, I think. But either way, if you're just making this for your loved one, then you're in good shape. Okay, so I'm going to lay this down flat, and I'm going to begin by just kind of getting this aligned with the top part here to make sure that those are nice and aligned. And then the rest of it should kind of fall into place as far as the alignment goes. And then I'm going to open this up and make sure that it's nice and flush with the very edge as well. just like that. And that's perfect. I don't think I could have done that any better. Okay, so there we go, beautifully aligned. Okay, next, we've got a few little overlays that we're going to add to this. There's a heart up on top here that's kind of cut in half, so we're going to put one side on at a time. So get your glue on half of this heart, which is actually one of my favorite John Mayer songs, Half of My Heart. Okay, and get that nudged up right against the edge there so that everything is right up against that very edge, and press that down. Okay, and then again, we're looking for symmetry here, so take your time and make sure that everything lines up nicely. And then grab this other piece, and with the card pretty much closed, lay that other piece right next to it and butt it up against that piece there so that when it's completely closed, it all matches up beautifully, just like that. Okay, so there's our beautiful heart in the center. Okay, and then we've got, find the two larger little cutout hearts. There's 4 other smaller ones. These are the 2 larger ones, and we're going to put those in the little corners here. Okay, so that's going to make up the front of our card. There's one more little piece here, and that just goes right down here in the corner. Just align that with the little heart shape down here, just like that. And then I'll do the same thing right here on this side. And press that down. There we go. Okay. And now you want to find these 2 little half pieces. Okay, they look like this. And these are going to go right here just to kind of fill in that little spot there with a little overlay. So just a little bit of glue on there. And that's going to go right in the center of this. So make sure it's right up to the edge here where everything else kind of meets the edge of the card, like that. And then grab your other side. And with the card closed, just match that up nicely. There we go. And there we go. Okay, so that is the front of our card. That is all done. So we can open this up now, and we can work on the inside of our card here. And, well, we can pretty much start anywhere we want. So these little pieces here are going to go right in here, and you'll notice that right up here in this corner, there's a little marker to help you, and down here as well, to help you with the positioning of this. And it's pretty important that you get this right, okay, because that's going to help us figure out where the actual little mechanism is. Okay, so let's get our glue on the back of this. And I think we can get this card done in under 30 minutes, which would be perfect, because that's way less time than it would take for you to go to the store and get a card, and this one's going to be a lot more special. So again, use the little guides here to position this piece accurately. There we go. Scoot it down just a tad. There we go. Okay. And press that down. This is beautiful graphic 45 paper, by the way, if you're wondering. Okay, there we go. And we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side here. So get your glue onto this piece here. Again, make sure you work that perimeter. And we're gluing this onto white, so if you kind of make a little boo-boo here or there, it's not the end of the world. Again, using those little guides there, get that into position first, and then press that down. Try to get it as accurate as possible. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now the remaining 4 hearts that we have here, those are going to go on these pieces here. I'm just kind of doing this systematically here. And the rest of the 4 hearts are pretty much the same size. And I do believe there are some markers here to help you with the positioning of these hearts. There's a little marker for the very tip. So just kind of get that aligned with the very tip. And you can see here that kind of should match up with the little butt of the heart there. Okay. So get that on there. And again, you can see the little mark there. Get that nice and centered. And the same thing on the other side. And find your little mark. Might be hard to see on this pattern paper. Surprisingly, I'm not having any difficulty, which is good. Sometimes these busy papers make it hard for you to see any of those little guides that we include, but so far so good. Okay, I've got one more here and it's kind of getting lost. I can feel it though. There it is. And there we go. Okay, so that's that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece here, and you can see how we've got this little cutout here at the bottom, so we just want to match this up here and get that nice and centered. Okay, so let's do that. Get that glue out to the very edge if possible. And after we get the picture portion on here, you'll still have some room at the bottom to either stamp or write a little message, a little I love you. There we go. This is probably one of my favorite cards that we've ever made. Okay, so that's in place. That is looking really nice. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab these. I'm going to grab these 2 pieces here. Okay, now you'll notice that there's a number 2 cut into this one, and there's a number 1 cut into this one. Okay. Now number 1, you'll notice that on this piece here, there are some markers that will help you get this aligned properly. And the tab, you can see how the tab folds, but the edge of this is going to go right up to the edge of this piece here. Okay, so you don't want it to go over, you don't want it in, you want it right up to the edge in between those 2 markers. And this is piece number 1, and piece number 1 is going to be on the right-hand side. So all we need to do is just put some glue on this tab, and let's make sure that we get that glue out to the edges on both sides so we get good perfect coverage on there. And again, make sure it's flush with this piece here and in between those 2 guides. Okay, get it nice and flush like that, and like that. Okay, and same thing on the other side. This is piece number 2. And get that glue out to the very edges on both sides, even the ends as well. Okay, and find your little markers here. I'm having a hard time seeing mine. Oh, there it is. I see it. It took a minute to find it. Pardon my head here for a second. There we go. And these should sit right on top of each other perfectly, just like that. Okay. Press that down. Make sure it's nice and even. Okay, because when we close this, and also one other thing, this is number 2, you want this one on top. You want the longer one underneath so that when you open it, it kind of stays that way, okay? Because when we close this, it's going to close like that, okay? So next step here is to take this piece, and you'll see well, actually, you know what? Before we do that, I want to put our little picture here in the center, okay? Now, your file comes with this little photo template, and the photo template is going to fit perfectly onto this. So you know what, I'm going to glue this down and pretend that this is the photo. Now what I did was I just took my photo template and I actually hand cut this. And I didn't cut it perfect, and you don't have to because we've left a little bit of a bleed, so that even if you hand cut it and you cut it off, you're better off cutting it a little bit smaller than you are cutting it larger. The only part of the photo that's going to show is the photo through this piece here. Okay, so as long as it's within the boundaries, it may not be perfect, but it'll still work. So what I'm going to do is, just for the sake of this tutorial, pretend that this is your photo. I'm still going to put my photo on here, but only after I put this piece down. So you can use that photo template to actually have your machine cut the photo out if you want. That's up to you. And then there are some guides here to help you with the placement. So definitely use that. Okay, now I'm going to put my photo right there in the center of that. Okay, and I'm just going to glue that down. I just printed this out on cardstock, actually. And it's not a glossy finish, it's a matte finish, but it works. Gets the point across, and just get that right in the center. So again, I'm just doing this twice because I wanted to illustrate a point here. Okay, but that's that. So again, this piece needs to be on the bottom, this piece needs to go on top, and then we're going to put this, we're going to glue this right here. There's some guides here that kind of go into the little scallops here, and you can see how perfectly that fits in the center. Okay, so now what we're going to do, you want to make sure that this longer piece here is on the bottom, the shorter piece here is on top, and what we're going to do is we're going to glue this piece right in the center here, and there's little markers on both sides here, so you want to make sure that the little markers are kind of, well, they're going to be positioned right into the little valley between these two scallops. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get that lined up. So what we're going to do is, all you want to do is just put glue on the first section here where the scallop is. Okay, so this little, pretend that these are all little sections, each little scalloped area there widthwise is one little section. Just want to put glue on just that one section, and again, making sure that, and pardon my head for a second here, I'll move here in a second after I get this all in place so I don't mess up. Just use the little guides there as your guide, and pardon my head, make sure it's nice and flush with the top, nice and centered, and glue that down like that, and hold that down. Okay, now before we do anything else, just kind of hold this, and let's just make sure that this closes okay. And as you can see, it does. It's really cool. Okay, now I'm just going to flip this over, and I'm going to put glue on the bottom little section here. And that's the only sections that we need to worry about. Let me get rid of this glue here so I don't smudge it on anything. And then the bottom should just kind of fall into place. Again, just make sure that it is meeting up with the little markers there. It may not be 100% dead on, but it should be pretty darn close. Okay, so make sure that's got a good grip, and then of course there you go, closes nicely, and you can see how it kind of just reveals the photo there in the center. All right, so all it's left to do is put our little accent piece on the center here. So let's do that. Let's get our glue on this main piece first. In my case, I think this is think this is the bubblegum color, AC cardstock. I can't recall. Just check your PDF. Okay, and just line that up nicely with the existing heart there. Make sure it's nice and aligned, nice and centered. Beautiful. There we go. And press that down, and then we have just this little accent piece, and that's enough room there for a stamp or a small little message where you can put your name. Just write "I love you" if you want to include a longer message, and maybe just write it on, you know, write a little letter and include it in the card, like a little love letter or something. But this is enough to get the point across. And now this is going to match up with the interior as well. So make sure you get that nice and centered. And then should have a nice even border going all the way around this piece as well, just like that. Beautiful. Here we go. And that's it. So all we have now is we have a little band that we're going to put around this, but you can see how beautiful this card is. Isn't that gorgeous? Gorgeous card. Okay. All right, so let's get our little band on here. So we have this piece, there's a little tab on one side, there's a score mark in the center. Just fold it at the score mark, and when you fold it, just make sure that it's nice and straight on both sides. I'm going to throw a little bit of glue on this tab here. Get that glue right out to the very edge there. And just glue that to the other side. And just flatten that out. Make sure it's nice and even. Okay, and we have a nice little heart here that we're going to pop right in the center. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put this band on here. Oops. Just put it over my card. And I'll just keep it right there. And then this way we can just use the center of the card as a guide for placing the heart right in the center. That way we can keep everything nice and proportionate and symmetrical, I should say. Okay, there we go. And then we can slide this up so that it's in the center. It's got to be the most gorgeous little Valentine that I've ever seen. Okay, so let's take the band off so we can play with this again. I just like to see this thing open and close. It's really cool. There you go, look at that. Beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. All right, sorry. Getting lost here in the awesomeness. Okay, so I'm going to throw some rhinestones on the front of this just to jazz it up. And of course, as always, we've got a beautiful little envelope to go with. And by the way, we also included solid scoreline versions of everything. And this is cut with my Sizzix. I actually like the score lines better than the solid score lines, believe it or not. I really do. They're just more accurate, and the pressure is still not where it needs to be on the solid score line. So what we're going to do here is we are going to put glue, and usually I put glue there, but I'm going to put glue on this piece here, just right up to that point there. Just a really thin line of glue, right up to about that point, and press down, close that up. And just hold that for a moment while it sets. There we go. And then we have this beautiful piece here that's going to fill in this design, just like that. Okay, and it's going to look like that when it's all said and done. So what we want to do, that's going to be completely flush up against the bottom there. So what we can do is just put our glue pretty much on this whole design here. Make sure you get it out all through here. And then just kind of use the table as a guide for the placement, and then make sure it's centered. And when you're sure and certain that it's centered, go ahead and press, and then you can just push this down and push like this to get this all connected. Okay. And there's your beautiful coordinating envelope for your beautiful little Shutter romance card. And we can put our little band on here. Pop that right in the center. Beautiful. Beautiful, 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 and voila. There you go. Well, that pretty much wraps up Valentine's Day, and I just love this card. I can't stop playing with it, and I have a feeling that you're gonna love it too. It's just beautiful. So find those beautiful papers. If you have some graphic 45 paper in red and pink, it is perfect for this. And as you can see, your recipient is going to love this card. And so if you make this, would love to see it customized with your photo, of course, of you and your special someone. So feel free to post that in our official group on Facebook. Head over to Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group. Join myself and over 9,000 others who inspire us daily. And if you enjoyed hanging out with me and crafting with me, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It lets me know that you enjoy my videos. And had a great time. Hope you enjoyed it as well. And I look forward to crafting with you again.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.